Alright, so came in here a little bit earlier today. I had a Mystic that was due to lay. Opened the tub to check on her, and she was in the midst of laying a clutch. So it's been a few hours now. I closed her back up, hopefully let her finish doing what she's doing. And I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you how we go about taking eggs away from our girls. Now to me, at this point in the cycle, there are two things that are really important. Obviously, our eggs are important. We've been excited about those, waiting for them all year since last season. So we want to make sure that we get those set up, get them in sort of the optimal conditions so that they can hopefully thrive and do well. But also, this mother's been through a lot. You know, growing the follicles, producing these eggs inside of her, laying them. She's probably been off feed for a little while. So she's really important at this point too. And making sure that we can kind of provide the perfect storm to get her back on feed as soon as possible and really regaining her strength from what's honestly a really stressful period in their lives. So when a snake lays a clutch of eggs, there's a couple things I want to know right off the bat. I want to know how many eggs did that snake lay? How many of those eggs were viable versus how many were slugs or infertile eggs? I want to know that because, you know, obviously creating a fertile egg or 10 fertile eggs obviously takes a lot more out of a snake than popping out 5 slugs. It's not to say that it's not stressful and hard on their bodies either way, but it's different and it's something that we want to know. I want to know, you know, how much do those eggs weigh? Were they big eggs, little eggs? Most importantly, probably, I want to know how much does this snake weigh after laying this clutch versus how much she weighed before we started pairing her. So this snake in particular, I know before we started pairing her was 1,857 grams. So at this stage, and I've not checked on this snake at all, so hopefully she's finished. I would think so. You can see how she's coiled with her tail around the outside of the clutch of eggs. Now typically at this point they can be a little cranky. So one thing that I'll do sometimes, she doesn't seem like she's too bad, but if they start getting snippy, you can take a fly swatter and don't smack them, but just gently set it up over their head till you can get your hand on them. Usually from that point, you know, they calm down a lot. So I'll grab her up close to her head and I'll grab down by her tail and just gently kind of uncoil her from the eggs. Now, I want to take the snake. We're not going to worry about the eggs right now. We're just going to leave those be. We're going to focus on Mama. So we'll take Mama and hold her up and kind of feel. Does it feel like there are any eggs left in there? Anything that she hasn't passed yet? And this Mama feels really empty. So I'm going to take her over here and I'm going to get a body weight on her. She is 1,187 grams. So from here, I've got a new tub set up that isn't going to have the smell of her clutch of eggs. Now, some people bathe their snakes after they lay eggs. I typically will just put the snake sometimes in a new rack, sometimes just in a different slot in the same rack, but in a new tub, moist substrate, clean water. I'll put her in there. I'll offer her feed tomorrow. If she doesn't go back on feed within a week, then I'll wash her off with animal safe like Dawn dish soap. I'll put her in a new tub just to get her as far separated from the smell or whatever it is that they're attracted to about their clutch of eggs that makes them more focused on being a mama than on eating. But so at this point, she's fine. I'm gonna leave her there. So we'll come up here. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eggs and a slug. So, come in the incubator and I'll get my egg box. I don't use anything other than water in my egg boxes. The way this is set up, I have 3 layers of light diffuser in the bottom of a Sterilite locking lid tub, and this was that crochet, something from the craft section. And really I just put that there so that once the snakes hatch, they've got something they can kind of crawl around on, and I don't have to worry about them getting down between the light diffuser and the tub, maybe cutting themselves or something like that. I'll add about 20 ounces of water into the bottom of this, and what I've found is that this kind of creates the perfect humidity in my 88-degree incubator inside the egg box for the eggs. Now if you look in my incubator, you'll see humidity readings of somewhere between 78 and 85%. That's the incubator as a whole. Humidity is going to be a bit higher inside of these actual egg boxes. So I'll zero out, come over here, and these are not stuck together, so try and get them set up. Without them rolling around. Just take a pencil and mark the top of this one because it wants to roll on me. Now, realistically, how much that matters? Probably not a whole lot. Out of principle, try to keep them in the orientation that I've got them. Now, I want to make sure at this point that none of my eggs are touching the side of the egg box. And they're not. You can have some condensation issues, and you don't want your eggs getting wet. So I'm going to mark the tops of all these lightly with a pencil, just so we can keep track of that. We've got 636 grams on the eggs. And now we just want to double check and see if they're viable eggs. So I'll take a flashlight, turn it on, and just hold it lightly above the egg. You can see the veins. Good. So all those are good, and let's just double check this little slug. I've never, see how it's just kind of yellow and we have no veins in there? I've never had something this strange looking be viable, but I've heard of it. So I always like to check. Okay. Now, we got our eggs set up in the egg box. Just gonna put the lid on it. Close it up, and then we'll take this and we'll put it in the incubator. And that's pretty much it. 60 days from today, just so I don't get over anxious, I say today's the 26th of May, not May, March. So April, May, 26th of May, these will be due, and I'm not going to worry about them until that point. And hopefully by that point I got some little heads sticking out. Usually 55 days is when my babies start pipping in our incubator here. So that's pretty much it. That's what we do with our eggs.